Hi, Trevor here, reflecting on life through music. Thank you for stopping by. Well, coming again today, you're very welcome. It's great to see everybody back. I trust you enjoyed my last video on screen legend Danny Kaye. A guy from the bygone era. I particularly remember Hans Christian Andersen, The Ugly Duckling, as one of his iconic songs. So it was good to look at him. We're going from there to 1953 in Los Angeles. This guy is a prolific, absolutely stunningly prolific movie composer, plus other things. But at the start, he didn't really think music was a thing. And so he had an aptitude for science, and so he's got that kind of mind about him. But it wasn't until he went to high school where he discovered jazz music that he got in with the right crowd, and he realized that music actually was a pretty good thing. The guy we're talking about is Danny Elfman. Now we'll get on to some of the most iconic movie scores I think ever written in the last little while. He was a brother of Richard Elfman, director, musician, and they got together and they formed the Mystic Knights of Oingo Biongo. Now remember those two last words. And Danny started to get involved in adapting and arranging jazz greats from the early 20s, including Cab Calloway's Minnie the Moocher, which I looked at a little while ago. And then he became pretty much the most prolific songwriter for the Mystic Knights, and also their lead vocalist. And that kind of morphed into the band Oingo Biongo. Now, you might remember these guys, that they had the song Stay when it came out. Pretty good song, that one. Before that, they actually did write the song Weird Science of the Dead Man's Party album. Weird Science was also a movie and a TV series, so that the film scoring was already starting at that point. So what we've got below, we've got the official clip of Weird Science, and we've got a live version of Stay. Such incredible chord progressions in Stay. It really is a very cleverly written song indeed. Oingo Biongo, 1981 to 1994, 8 studio albums, 2 live albums, 5 compilation albums, 10 music videos, and 19 singles, plus many other appearances, including soundtracks. And that's where we're going next. And so we've got the clip to those 2 songs below. It was around 1995 that Danny started struggling with hearing and a few other things with the constant touring, so he thought he better stop. And it was around that time that he was sought out by the iconic director Tim Burton. Now, and from that point onwards, Danny has not looked back. He was approached to write the soundtrack, so we're talking the music for the whole movie, for Pee-wee's Big Adventure in 1985. Now, Danny was a bit reluctant to do that because he had no real formal musical training. But he thought, yeah, I'll give it a go, and much to his surprise, I think, he could actually do this thing really well, and he wrote the soundtrack to Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and followed with Back to School and Beetlejuice. Now, of course, one of the things about Tim Burton, he does like his favourites. Danny Elfman often gets the music score nodding. Johnny Depp's been in a few of his movies. Helen Bonham Carter as well. And, you know, if you have a cast that works, why would you want to change that? But the world changed in 1989. So much changed with this movie. Superheroes before this time were glitzy, happy sort of characters, but in 1989, Batman came out. And this was an absolute departure from previous superhero movies. Tim Burton really got into the mystery and the ethos of Batman big time. And of course, you've got to think of the Joker, Jack Nicholson, as the Joker, made an absolutely probably one of the best Joker performances of all time. And because of this darker kind of feeling, and Batman 1989 was quite dark, and of course we do love the Batmobile from this particular movie. It needed a score to reflect that, and Danny Elfman was chosen to write the score for Batman. And because of that, Danny Elfman won a Grammy Award for Best Score for that year. Now, when I was watching some of these clips, I was starting to get a bit teary because there's some absolutely beautiful melodies and arrangements here. So we have a bit of a compilation of the video clip with a few other things going on there for you below. In 1990, again, Johnny Depp returned in Edward Scissorhands. Now, if you haven't seen this one, oh my goodness. Poor kid who was made by a loving creator and no hands, so he had scissors, and of course that creates a whole heap of issues. But he was just a misunderstood character, and things get a bit crazy. Then he just gets back to his home up on the hill. Now, of course, there was a love interest in this particular movie, and right at the end, we've got the iconic, beautifully. I'm getting teary as I'm talking about this ice dance sequence where he is carving beautiful angelical creatures out of ice, and the girl, of course, dances amongst the snow. And of course, when you need a song, a dance, some music to accompany that, Danny Elfman knew exactly where to go here. What we've got below, we've got the scene from the movie itself. It is quite emotional and beautifully shot here. And we've also got a live version on stage of an orchestra and choir singing that, because one of the things about Danny Elfman, he does actually like to use voice in there. In fact, he uses all sorts of things in his music, makes him so iconic. He's kind of bridged the gap between the contemporary and rock music and film scoring, which makes him pretty good. So Edward Scissorhands was another breakthrough for Danny Elfman. 1993, out came A Nightmare Before Christmas. This was an animated movie, and there's just something about this movie as well. I actually had to buy this one because I just really love this story, and I love the way it looks. It looks really amazing. So, and for Danny Elfman, not only writing music scores, always also writing songs as well. So we've got the lead character saying, what's this? What's all this happiness all about? Of course, he wasn't about happiness at all, but his heart gradually changes as the movie progresses. So we've got a movie version of What's This from A Nightmare Before Christmas. 2003, out came Big Fish. Now, this is a really interesting movie, this one. This is all about a guy just going through life, effervescent character, but making a massive difference to a lot of people's lives. And it really is just going from one magical moment to another. And you don't realise until, now I'm assuming everyone who's seen this one has wanted to see it, but you don't realise that the Big Fish is actually this guy bringing life to the world. And the great thing about this movie at the end is the final sequence where he's saying goodbye to literally everybody he has touched. And so you've got to have a really good music to be able to carry that scene off as well. Danny Elfman, yet again. And so we got the movie clip of the ending of Big Fish. Go forward to 2010, Alice in Wonderland. Now, this really stretched the story big time. Again, Helen Bonham Carter is in here as well. And we've got the scene at the end where Alice is fighting the Jabberwocky. In fact, there's a little bit more than just that fight going. There's a big, massive war scene going, and of course, to capture the music and the chaoticness of what's going on in this scene, you need a score to be able to capture that. And again, Danny Elfman absolutely came to the fore with the writing of Alice in Wonderland. You just got to remember, I think, music is such an important part of a movie, because what it does is it ties our emotions in with the images. And so you've got to have the right way to do that. And apparently Danny Elfman, he will look at the movie first. Once he's seen the movie, he'll then have a bit of a chat, often with Tim Burton, and say, hey, what are we looking for here? And they'll go away and compose. He hasn't just written music, he's also written lyrics. He's written stuff for TV, for stage, live orchestral works as well. Absolutely prolific music composer, this guy. And he absolutely has changed the world, this guy, with his incredible scoring, going back to Oingo Biongo, and the incredible chord progressions in Stay in particular are pretty amazing. And so I was very fortunate to see Danny Elfman. There was a bit of a concert that came out here. He would conduct an orchestra, talk about some of his iconic masterpieces, and conduct an orchestra, and you see a bit of image. So it's great to see Danny Elfman in concert, and of course he did do a bit of singing as well, because this guy can actually sing pretty well, so he's a bit of an all-rounder. And I think we owe a lot to music composers. We seem to have done a few of late, and we owe it to their imagination and creativity to be able to, I think, capture our hearts, capture our emotions, keep our interest, and to be able to tie, particularly in the world of movies, to be able to tie our emotional world to what our eyes are seeing and our ears are hearing. And to make movies not just a viewing experience, but an all-round encompassing experience. And people like Danny Elfman have absolutely done that and brought that and changed the world. I mean, 1989 Batman changed everything. If it wasn't for that movie, the Marvel movies wouldn't be how they're looking now. We wouldn't have had, scores needing to really step up big time here to really just capture the mood of the movie. You cannot watch Batman without having the appropriate score to do that. And because that, of course, I forgot Michael Keaton. Of course, he was Batman in that movie as well, and just how people just wondered whether that was going to work, but it did, and worked really, really well. And so, Danny Elfman has won 25 BMI awards, 2 Emmy awards, 1 Grammy awards, and he's won around 75 awards in all. He's been nominated 4 times for Oscars, including movies such as Good Will Hunting. I didn't know he wrote the music for that one, but there we go. He wrote the music for Good Will Hunting, and amongst many others. And so it was great to give, for this channel, I suppose, just to go back and to remember some iconic people like these ones. It's, we can always go to the people that really, really successful ones, right? But sometimes this channel has to find itself going to places where people who have been just iconic behind the scenes, and I've been able to bring them to the fore and to people's consciousness. So it's great to be able to look at Danny Elfman today. So the links to those, how many we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clips are in the description below. There could have been just so many more, really, for this guy. And I've already included my last video from another screen legend, Danny Kaye. So if I've already kept on him, feel free. Well, we're still going with this channel, right? It's so good to keep coming up with these people. It absolutely is. If you've come back for the first time, for you guys out there, or you're new to the channel, thank you for the recent subscriber. How cool is that? Very significant individual. You guys are all amazing, absolutely. Well, that's it for today. Next time we're going to go on to 5/4 time, Dave Brubeck. So until then, I'll catch you around. Bye for now.